While this might be a controversial opinion, mirrorless appears to be the future going forward in the camera industry. Each major brand has put their foot in the door and released a competitive mirrorless system, and many, including Sony, have completely left behind the DSLR. I'm here to argue that the DSLR isn't quite dead yet though, and here's why. Canon and Nikon have been very stubborn about keeping the mirror around for the past decade, but for good reason. For a long time, DSLRs were just considered better than mirrorless, with better battery life, better autofocus, and notably, an optical viewfinder. Today, mirrorless has definitely caught up, but it hasn't necessarily surpassed the trusty DSLR quite yet. Not constantly being in live view and having bigger batteries due to their larger size usually lets DSLRs have better battery life than mirrorless cameras, at least for photographers. I personally have never owned a DSLR actually, but my favorite thing about them was always their optical viewfinder. Compared to the tiny screen on my NEX5N, my old first camera, the optical viewfinders opened up a completely new world to my eyeballs. It was amazing. I'd never gotten used to using a viewfinder at all in the first place because, well, my first camera didn't even have an electronic one. But if I were given the chance to use an optical viewfinder, I definitely would have used it. I haven't talked about one important thing yet though, price. DSLRs are in the out, meaning demand is low, meaning, well, lower prices overall. Today you can get a Nikon D5600 for $600 with a kit lens and a zoom lens, or you could get a Nikon D3400 with a kit lens and a zoom lens for even less. And those are both great cameras with great optical viewfinders. Actually not great optical viewfinders, but they have optical viewfinders, which are great compared to cheap EVFs. If cost is a major concern to you, then the cost of DSLR bodies is generally a bit cheaper than that of comparable mirrorless systems. But a DSLR is also just part of the equation. Since DSLRs have been around longer, their lenses are generally cheaper, at least compared to mirrorless lenses of the same variety. Plus there's just more lenses, period, with plenty of third-party support, so more competition and more cheap options. And lastly, the rest of the camera ecosystem, including things such as flashes and other third-party accessories, are generally cheaper as well from the same argument as before. There's more competition and more variety. So that's why I believe DSLRs aren't dead yet. They still have their audience, even if it's shrinking today. If you're a photographer who needs to save a quick buck, then DSLRs can help you do just that, with an established ecosystem of competitive prices. Plus they have an optical viewfinder, something I've always been jealous of as a mirrorless shooter. Thanks for watching. See you next time.